going on, good people of the internet? This is preview episode 2 of our newest podcast, Blerd Grounds, where African American nerds, black nerds, blurs, whatever you want to call us, or whatever we call ourselves, come together and talk about issues that we are passionate about, or just things we love about nerd culture, comic books, video games, anime, whatever we want to talk about. We are here talking about that. This is once again a preview episode number 2. Last week we a bunch of us got together and talked about Black Panther and its cultural impact, and the one person who was not able to make it was my man and my co-host Travis Tucker, and he is here with me now to give him some spotlight and talk about something that he is very passionate about and something that I'm very passionate about, because I love black superheroes. I love talking about things that matter, so we're gonna get into that real quick. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Blerd Grounds. Don't forget to follow the website On Comics Ground on Twitter and Instagram at On Comics Ground. And check out oncomicsground.com, hyphens between the words, every day for reviews and op-eds. Part of what we're going to be talking about tonight was released as an op-ed today on the website that Travis was talking about as part of his series, Jump Starts with the Pen. So we're going to get into this right now. So Travis, please explain to me. Well, first of all, how you doing tonight, man? You work hard every day, welding and whatnot. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. It's a Tuesday, but it's my Friday, so I'm doing decent.
There you go. There you go. So you brought this idea to me. Is something that's been bugging you about diverse characters in comic books, and part of that is the center of it of one Power Man. So why don't you go into what you want to talk about here?
Well, see, okay, it kind of falls into what I think like a good character of color and a bad character of color would be, and that's in no means a cut and dry subject. It's very broad, and in my research for this last Jump Starts, I stumbled across Victor Alvarez, he becomes the second Power Man during and post the Shadowland in 2011, I believe is when it was published.
All right.
And comparing the two directly, between Luke Cage and Victor Alvarez, I find a strange disconnect with the actual qualms of the black community, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Because when Victor comes out the gate in the first Power Man issue of Power Man and Iron Fist with him and Danny, they have a little spat where he starts talking to Danny about how he'll never call him master, even though Danny has took him under his wing to teach him chi and all that such. But his reasoning is for 400 years of oppression. And throughout this 5-issue series, they don't really address this. They use it kind of like a fun motif to further the story later on.
That's a little weird.
And I'll get into that, but they never really talk about how openly just angry he is, which I understand is a general a general stereotype for how the community is perceived. Now, I'm not saying that the writer of this 5-issue series meant to do this, but it comes off disingenuous and someone who doesn't really know what exactly the struggle is, because he's bringing this kind of stuff up at the most irrelevant times, honestly. And the only time it actually, hold up, I'm going through the comic right now that had the one that really, really rubbed me the wrong way. Oh.
Wait. Flips open the wiki. Victor is the son of Shades?
Yes. He is the son of Shades.
Oh, God. Now, keep in mind, folks, in the original comics, Shades wasn't a smooth-talking white dude with some sunglasses. Shades was a black man. So seeing this, change, which is kind of, it's one of those weird changes in the Luke Cage Netflix show that, nobody noticed and it kind of just let slide because of how good the show was. And
Yeah.
and it's weird, and like, because I just wanted to open his wiki and see what this kid was about, because like I've only seen him in the background of things. He was a part of the weird all different new Avengers run. He was a part of the Mighty Avengers that Luke Cage led, like right around the time that he first premiered. And I'm just like, what? Like, apparently he controls chi to be super strong.
Yeah, in the way they introduce that in the Power Man and Iron Fist thing is that he absorbs chi, and that helps him mimic Luke Cage, because he's not Danny. He hasn't had any like Kunlun training or anything like that. But I found the page I was talking about.
So he's not even like he doesn't really have any other power other than like super meditation to control his chi, basically.
Yeah, and it gets a little more complex. I read a few tidbits where I guess him and White Tiger, like he shoved a bunch of chi into White Tiger and made her super buff enough to take on Shuma Gorath. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's its own thing, but
oh shoot.
Okay. Right. Okay, so here I found the part that I was talking about. They're bringing up the last case that they had just done, where an instance of Victor, he had gotten a little too hasty in his black activism, I should say, because they were in a prison, and Danny's friend, what's her name, Jessie, I believe, is in prison on trial for murder, and they end up like trying to touch hands, but anyone with any common knowledge of prison would know that you can't make physical contact during visitations. So the guard, he steps in the middle, and you figure that's going to happen, but all of a sudden Victor gets up and he goes, "Hey, fascist!" And just starts like,
"What?
Yeah,
what? Hey, fascist! Wait, what?"
I have it right here. The exact words he says is, "Yo, man, fascist much?" And that really struck me wrong, because it's anyone with any kind of common sense would know that you're not supposed to make contact with convicts in prison. So it's not the time to try to fight the prison guards. You know what I mean? Superpowers or not.
Okay.
And so so that's kind of what I'm getting at with like the bad black character here, because there's such a disconnect that they give him almost a really cut and dry sense of morality, to the point where
I just pulled it up. Okay, like, now to be fair, the way freaking guard slams down the nightstick and looks super aggressive, I kind of get what they were going for, but like, no.
Yeah, and once you find out, like later in the comics, spoilers ahead, it's been, it's 2019, it's been 8 years, okay, yes. I'm sorry. But you find out that this whole prison is run by Nazis.
Oh.
So it all kind of, like, the way the book is written is Victor is this young black youth that is sick and tired of this world, and he knows what he has to do. Things are black and white, right and wrong, all the time, and instead of taking this comic in a direction where they could have given him some growth and maybe more understanding, because even there in issue 4, he meets Luke Cage again post Shadowland, and they have a conversation, and Luke is trying to get him to understand that he needs to chill out, but he doesn't. He's given no reason to do so. It's really frustrating, to be honest with you.
I think the biggest problem I have with this is that, like, Luke Cage is a very, like, established hero. So, like, other than, like, handing his side, like, his main original name of Power Man to somebody, like, what was there to be gained by introducing Victor as a character?
I'd have to read more Victor Alvarez to know for sure. I am curious to know if he grows as a character past these 5 issues, honestly.
I mean, from what I've seen, he stays very static and basic, because like he was a side-along character in New Avengers, and then apparently he's in Champions right now, and like as a background character in like the Champions Unlimited that Jim Zub recently started. So it's like,
yeah. Whereas, like, okay, so to bring it full circle, I guess, I want to talk about the Luke Cage Netflix series, which more people may be familiar with when they're listening. And when you think about how that was done, like as far as like how Luke wants the community to be seen and what he's doing for the community, like he doesn't. When people drop the N word to him casually, he goes, "Don't even call me that." Even if they're both black people, he doesn't. He doesn't. No, it's not a thing for Luke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm trying to put it in a way where we can still, not be swearing and family friendly. But it's strange to see how this one particular author that I'm reading sees the mentality, I guess, of the black youth and culture, and that's, I guess, what makes him a bad character for the culture, in my opinion. Does that make sense?
Kind of. Like, why don't you elaborate a little bit? Because I don't really know what you mean by like for the culture. Like, is it maybe that the writer doesn't really know what they're talking about in some aspects?
Yes, a lot of aspects. And if my phone can stop glitching, I could keep this comic issue up. Because I'm pulling it up. He's got this part where he talks about he wants his 40 acres and a mule, and it's completely out of context.
What?
It has nothing to do with the conversation.
Oh no.
Yeah, like I found some ashy comments from Victor.
Like it's like from what you're telling me and from what I'm looking through as I go through this, it sounds as if Victor was written to be like the ultimate white allies, like black man, if that makes sense. Like, am I kind of in the right ballpark?
Not really. Because there's okay. For example, in issue 4, when he's talking to Luke and Luke is telling him to chill out, he spits back at Luke, "Oh, you like something along the lines of, do you want me to apologize to your white man?" And it's yes. So hold up, I got this panel up with this 40 acres and a mule here. Oh, here we go. It says my battles are picked for me by what's right and what's wrong. And if I ever think I'm gonna, or if you ever think I'm gonna call you master, you got a screw loose. Completely out of left field. Because I mean, we're talking 400 years of oppression, not to mention 40 acres and a mule, and a lot of other stuff Spike Lee was talking about on Jimmy Fallon. And the context of the conversation is they're talking about the interview they just had with Jenny in prison. Because Danny is literally talking about his master in Kung Lun.
Wait,
so
like Jenny, like Luke and Danny's original secretary, Jenny?
Yes, she's in prison.
Yeah, they let her out during the David F. Walker run. Wow, that's a really good callback.
Right? Maybe that's David F. Walker being like, we're just gonna forget about this. I really hope it is, because from what I'm reading of David F. Walker's Pyro Man and Iron Fist, it is amazing.
Mm-hmm. And it was so sad it was canceled because they're like, hey, let's just separate Luke and Danny into separate books because of separate Netflix shows. And it's like, can you not? Like, can you
right?
Not?
Can we just can we hint to Netflix to do Power Man and Iron Fist instead of what you just did, please?
Yeah. I think that was the biggest flaw of that entire system was that entirely. But as I read this, I can't help but think like if my original thought process was wrong, if it's more of he's almost like what someone thought like a black activist should be. And it's a very weird thing for him to want to be this superhero, but be trained by Danny. Like, it doesn't feel like a natural fit.
And I maybe that's why they gave him to Luke as far as the Avengers run is concerned. I want to read that for sure to see what's going on with there. But if you're checking it out, if you could peep issue 5. To see the callback to him, like, I'll never call you master. He calls him master on the phone to let Danny know that he's in danger.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. That's a little weird. But
yeah, so it feels out of touch. It feels really out of touch, and it's hard to put that into words because he's not a very unique character as far as anything else is concerned.
he doesn't really seem like it. Like, he just feels like stock angry black man, and that's not what we should be focused on writing. And then for him to go from stock angry black man to then just nothing in the future of Marvel Comics, like, he hasn't done anything. And it's almost like no one knew. It's kind of like what's going on with the current, like, Patriot ever since Falcon was canceled, where he has no place, but at least Rayshawn was actually had some depth to him, and he was starting to be like a smart black kid with a good mentor. And then no one read Falcon, so it got canceled, and now he's just in the Champions. Like, with Victor, it's as if he was forced to be a thing, and then, like, no one cares. They kind of just threw him to the side.
Right, and in the 5 issues that he's working with Iron Fist, we have all of this time that they could have developed some kind of understanding between the two, because there you have to admit that, you know, Danny Rand is a corporate white man who's living Fortune 500, who was raised in Kunlun. You know what I mean? He's literally of that certain type of privilege. And Victor's upbringing is, you know, he lost his dad to superhero violence. You know what I mean? That's a proper archetype for what I could say Marvel's ghetto life would be. And they could have connected and found some kind of middle ground and understanding there. And maybe, I don't know, had something of significance, but there was nothing in 5 issues, except for him calling him master to signify there was danger.
That frustrates me. And it, like, I guess it goes into the bigger conversation of, like, how a new diverse character should be. And, like, I feel as if they just missed the mark entirely with Victor here.
Right, because he's angry about all the things that one should be angry about, but he lacks the common sense to know that it takes a conversation and not a war.
Exactly. That's the biggest problem we have in this day and age, where we're so mad at the radical issues going on that we don't know how to focus in and have, like, a dialogue, or even, like, not deal with it in an angry way. It seems like Victor is just this angry character who just was forced to mellow out by no other writer wanting to do anything with him but keep him on a team. Like,
right. Yeah. Even when they give him the chance to connect with Danny, when Luke, you know, because Victor ran out angry and Luke goes out after him, that was the perfect time to have those two connect. But they really didn't. Victor remained obstinate and then just made his own decision later. When Luke, above literally anyone else, knows more about Victor's situation than anybody, especially considering his relationship to Shades.
And, like, there's so much potential here. Like, if there was ever a point where, like, say Danny wanted to retire and Luke wanted to just raise Danielle and be done, like, there's potential, because, like, for those who don't know, Iron Fist had a random legacy character that was created, and she's just been kind of shoved to the side, and, like, they had an Iron Fists plural type of comicsology exclusive book. And it was like, she's a young Asian girl. She has the power of the Iron Fist along with Danny, and, like, it's sort of like tries to be a more hip version of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye series. And it's okay, but And it's like, apparently she's even going to be in this new event Contagion, and there's a bit of potential here for the two of them to be like Victor and this young girl to be I don't remember her name, but it's like those two being a thing together as, like, the future. But I'm wondering if Victor's time has come and gone, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah, because they had so much time to mold this character into something that truly, like, connected with people, and it just feels like it's not. It's hard to make a direct comparison to what he's like. It's just so offbeat for me.
Okay, so if, in the grand scheme of things, if there is one, like legacy character that you can pick out of a lineup that does the everything better than Victor as a black character, who would you say would be the one that does it best?
Miles. But Miles is a bit of a Mary Sue. Considering I like Miles because he kind of overcomes every hardship he gets. Yeah. But so does every comic book character. If that makes any sense?
Yeah, that's
but Miles has this I don't know. Miles and actually probably Sam would be a better. Oh, no, he's
Sam
not.
would be the better one because there's this great video by a guest of Living on the Edge, Godzilla Mendoza, where he talks about how Miles is just kind of black Peter Parker with the struggle mixed in at times, and I don't always agree with it because the fact is, like, anybody can be Spider-Man, and which obviously Spider-Verse taught a lot of people, and that different struggles for different people in the mask can be a great thing, but I don't know if there's enough about Miles that makes him distinct as a character, other than him just being the black carry on or whatever, or like the biracial carry on version of Spider-Man at times, and it's
Right.
frustrating.
Right. Whereas Sam like worked with Captain America and he earned the mantle, you know what I mean? And then had to deal with all kinds of stuff as soon as he became Captain America.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I feel like Sam is a better answer for that one for sure.
I think that when it comes to Marvel specifically, there is the three examples that I like to pick out. There is Camp Laura Kinney and Sam Wilson, where they were the mentees or slash partners that trained forever to become the better character or like the better legacy character. And then there's the Hawkeye anomaly where Kate Bishop got her start while Clint was dead, and Cap gave her his bow and said, "Go be a thing." And then when Clint comes back, he's like, who the hell is this? I didn't authorize this. Like, there's this great panel in Fallen Son Captain America where Kate's like, I don't have to answer to you because Clint's hiding as the new Captain America. Tony tried to orchestrate, and she's like, "You're a piece of shit for wearing Captain America's outfit." Cap actually gave me Hawkeye's bow, so F you, we're leaving. And it's like, I can't help but sympathize with her because of how much she earned the right to be Hawkeye even before the Matt Fraction run, and then even after when Clint's still around, she sort of did the X-23 in reverse in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Yep.
she spent time training with him, and there's that great moment in Generations Hawkeye where he's half asleep and she's like, "I really appreciate everything you've done for me, Clint. You're an asshole, but I appreciate you." But no, Sam is definitely the perfect Black Legacy character because he can stand on his own 2 feet while also holding the mantle.
Right. And every adversity he's faced, he's gone up to them and be like, "Look, I'm Cap. You don't like it, I'm sorry." Here's a shield bash.
Here's a shield bash. Oh my god. I mean, yeah, that's a yeah. I think the biggest problem that I have with Sam is that he at every turn, and what's funny is it so emulates real world what happened when Endgame first came out and what's going to be happening when Falcon Winter Soldier comes out, where no one every bad person who hated the idea of Sam being Captain America came out in droves, whether it was for the comic, whether it was for the movie, it didn't matter. So it almost stemmed him actually being the hero he was meant to be, to the point that when Secret Empire just dove off of a cliff and said, not only is Captain America black, the original Captain America is a Nazi, and it's way too far.
Yeah.
It just harmed any chance of Sam getting to be Captain America for a long period of time, and my heart breaks for him so much. He got half of an Avengers run, actually 2 different halves of an Avengers run, because he had Captain America and the Mighty Avengers during Axis, and then he had what was it? Actually, no, then he had more of a whole run with all different Avengers, kind of, but he wasn't really in charge. Tony was, and then Mark Waid's Avengers came out, and it was literally 5 issues, and then it became Secret Empire tie-ins where he wasn't a part of it. So Sam really didn't get to be the leader he was meant to be as Captain America, and it sucks. So I think the reversal here for Victor is Victor was held back by poor writing and not really a good character, versus with Sam, it's you're a great character in every way, but no one's doing you right.
Right. Like they hoed him at Secret Empire. He should have taken out Hydra Cap, not Miles. Like that.
Well, like, why do you say that?
Because it not only is the symbolism so stunning, you know what I mean? Because yeah, they went off the deep end for that for Nazi Captain America.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they would have taken the time to have Sam stand up to him, regardless of him having one of the Infinity Stones, have one of a famous Captain America speech, but from Sam to evil Cap would have been iconic to me.
That's true.
And I feel like they really really hoed out Sam Wilson on that one. Like that was just they're so dirty, so dirty.
What's crazy is, have you read all of Sam Wilson Captain America by Nick Spencer?
You cut out a bit. What'd you say?
Have you read all of Nick Spencer's run on Sam?
No, I have not.
Okay, so like it was honestly, like, say what you will about Nick Spencer and his politics. Like, I'm not here nor there. I don't care about that. Like, I think he's an amazing writer for what he did. And, like, he took Sam, like, he made Misty Knight his Black Widow. Like, he had a Spanish Falcon, like, protege be created where, like, he's a mutant bird hybrid character, which was so freaking cool. I love Joaquin to death, and I'm so sad that, like, when Sam went back to being Falcon, it was like, Joaquin, you don't matter anymore. But no, it's like that whole series is going on. They did like a little bit too like on the nose like comparison where they had like giant robot police officers have like superhero police brutality. But like the way it was written, it kind of worked because like it was kind of cool. And then like U.S. agent was working for the government trying to like shut down Captain America, and it was very well done to the point that you had a lot of hope for the run, but at every turn, because of Nazi Cap like looming over Sam's head, he had no chance, and it sucks.
Yeah. Oh my God.
What?
I just read a fun fact, everyone, and I think it's relevant.
Oh, no.
Apparently, Sam Wilson is the first black superhero to not have the word black as a part of his name.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't understand, like, that might need to be, like, a whole research topic of why it was so prevalent. Yeah, it made sense. Well, like, it was ironic for, like, T'Challa, because like, Stan Lee didn't even plan on it being, like, Black Panther symbolism. It just happened to be a thing, and they tried to change it later, and then it was like, oh, well, it doesn't work, change it back. And, like, it ended up being Black Panther symbolism. But, like, Black Lightning, other than it being a cool name, I don't really understand why that was like. Granted, it's better than what it was even called, the Black Bomber or whatever the hell it was, like back in the day. Like that was horrible. We're not going to talk about that again. We talked about that on panel to panel once, and it was hilarious. But like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, that's a whole nother huge topic. But that's something I didn't know about Sam, and I feel like I need to read him a lot more at this point.
Oh, he's definitely one of these characters because, like, even before, when it came to like old like Falcon miniseries or just backgrounds in Sam Wilson Captain America, like Sam Wilson Captain America, and old Captain America stories, you learn about how like his dad was a reverend in Harlem. His dad was like gunned down on the streets and whatnot. He raised his brothers and sisters. He went off to go like be in the Peace Corps and whatnot while his brother stayed and like took care of the family and stuff. And it's really empowering, and it like they don't really talk about that because of how much like the MCU has changed him. They like turned Falcon into like an army vet, which
yeah.
I mean, like that. I guess okay, but like that's not what he originally was supposed to be. So I hope with like this new movie, like show, and possibly hopefully a movie. I hope Sam gets a movie at some point. Like I hope there's more to that, and they actually like give him the justice he deserves as a character. But Victor as something I don't.
I hope they lock Victor in the same vault DC put Mr. Majestic in.
Mr. Majestic. That name.
Yeah, you haven't heard that name in a while.
That sounds so. Oh, I forgot about you. Oh, I forgot about you. But there was one other. There was two other characters that I wanted to talk to you about, Travis.
What's up?
Duke Thomas.
Ah.
How you feel about Duke Thomas?
I honestly, I don't know much about Duke. He kind of came out of the blue for me.
Batman expert doesn't know about Duke Thomas, the Black
Because
Robin,
I saw
before he was changed to be something else by DC.
Yeah, see, I was really into Duke Thomas when he first came out, and then I saw the yellow suit and I turned away.
What?
Yeah, and that is because it's because of what I know of the whole like Batman stuff, and like any Batman fan can tell you that Robin's cape was yellow to draw gunfire. So when I see,
you're right.
So when I see Duke in his suit, I just know I can't.
That's so horrible. I mean, like, okay, like, when Scott Snyder, God bless his soul, he tries so hard. He tried so hard to make Duke Thomas a thing. Duke Thomas was, like, going to be the first African-American Robin. We were going to kick Damian Wayne and his stupid ass to the side. We were going to make Duke Thomas the new Robin, and it was going to be great. And then, like, no one besides Scott Snyder and people who were friends with Scott Snyder cared about Duke, and it really sucked. Like, now granted, when We Are Robin was a thing,
That's when I liked him.
Yes. Because the idea of him running a street gang of Robins was so cool. Like, it seemed kind of stereotypical of a black person, but it also seemed like really cool, the idea of a network of Robins defending Gotham when Batman was away.
Right, and it was wonderful trope subversion, whereas, these inner city kids, they're not out robbing and stealing. They're out beating people up who are robbing and stealing. That's what I loved about that so much, because it I don't know, it turned a weird negative stereotype into something great. And then Scott Snyder did so much to try to make him his own thing, and then I don't know who signed off on slapping him in a yellow suit, but that is when I fell off.
I think it was the idea of like someone told Scott Snyder you can't make him a Robin, because like there was a specific like future story where Duke was shown in a Robin suit with like dreads and shit, and like they were pulled back in a ponytail, and like it gave credence to the idea that he could be the future Robin, like when Damian Wayne screwed off and became the new Ra's al Ghul or whatever. And I was kind of on board with it, but it feels like someone at DC told him you can't make him Robin. Everyone likes Damian when no one likes Damian actually, but like we want Damian to be Robin. And it was like, okay. So Scott Snyder like gave him a whole backstory, like new powers where apparently he's a metahuman with the power of like light and stuff, and like he's the light that Gotham needs and yada yada, and like he's gonna be the one that takes care of like the teen problems of Gotham and stuff. And it was a really cool concept. I enjoyed Batman and the Signal. It was a cool little miniseries, but it felt like someone told Scott Snyder to go write his character into a corner and leave him there, and it sucks.
Yeah, and it like so right when I started seeing him in the yellow suit is right when I pretty much stopped reading him. But I kept seeing him in like little right when they started the New Outsiders run.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right about then that I was like, man, it hurts because they put a lot of work into this character just to shove him in the same closet that all the other cool Batman people are in. You know what I mean? Like Cassandra Cain stuck in the Outsiders. Like all of these people who can have their own books aren't getting their own books.
Who used to have their own books. Black Lightning, like, Katana was an outsider. She was always been an outsider. But, like, freaking Black Lightning, Cassandra Cain was Batgirl. Like, Duke Thomas has potential, but it's like, I feel bad because even when he was first created and was hinted at to be the new Robin, I was like, Scott, where are you going to put him? Like, Like, even like where are you like possibly going to put him? Like they're already trying to off Tim and get rid of him. That way Damian can be the new leader of the Teen Titans, and then Tim got shoved back to Young Justice because he was an original member. Like Jason's leading the Outlaws. Nightwing, up until being called Rick, was. That's gonna be an episode. We might have to like just have like the Batman Chronicles of Blerd Grounds and just talk about that. But like Dick was leading the Titans, so all these members of the Bat family had like the Bat family like male squad had their own point, and it was like, where are you gonna put him, Bruce? Like, what are you gonna do with this child? Now, granted, the background stuff he did in All Star Batman when he was writing it, I was like, okay, Scott, I see you're trying. I see you're absolutely trying because Tom King doesn't care about Duke Thomas. But like, no, I'm like the only person that cares about Duke Thomas, and it sucks.
Yep.
Like, if I could just go, okay, Damian, go away. Duke, you come here. Be Robin for me. Like, I would be so happy. Like, that would fix all of my problems if Damian just went away and Duke was here. I mean, like, am I wrong? Like, Damian sucks.
Yeah, I think the reason why DC is saying people like Damian is because Damian is that. How do I say it? He's edgier Dick.
Oh, that's a horrible.
Does that make sense?
It hurts. Like that's one of like Mary's hot takes, and it stings. Like, oh, you're so right, but it hurts. Like, oh, Mary's here in spirit now. Oh God, but like that hurt. You're right, especially because like him and Dick have that perfect camaraderie too. Like, oh, that hurts.
Right, and it's always Damian, Dick, and Jason that are like, "Hey, Bruce, stop what you're doing," while Tim is like, we're gonna see what happens, bro." Like, if that makes any sense.
Like Tim's just loyal. He doesn't care what happens. Like, I support Batman no matter what, while you guys are the bad children.
Exactly. Every time. And so Damian is our dose of Nightwing outside of Bloodhaven, I would guess.
My name's not Rick. like for anyone who doesn't know, for any black nerd that's a bit confused by what we're talking about, recently in the comics, because apparently somebody in DC really hates Dick Grayson Nightwing, like they had Dick Grayson shot in the head. So he didn't remember who he really was, and has been running around with the buzz cut calling himself Rick. And it's really annoying. Like, it dropped Nightwing sales into the gutter because no one cares that he's called Rick. They want Dick, and that sounds so bad. But, like, everyone would rather have Dick than Rick.
Yeah, and what hurts about it so much is it's Tom King taking out the second generation of characters.
Oh, God. That might
hurts me so.
That might need to be an episode in itself. But okay, so there's the other one I wanted to talk to you about. The other outlier black man in the Bat family.
Luke Fox.
Yes, you knew exactly.
Luke Fox, I already know.
Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know, at the beginning of the New 52, there was an attempt with Batman Incorporated, Batman's attempt to have a Batman everywhere in the world. There was an original Batwing that was, I believe, African, like actual African, that had, like, I believe his name is, hold on, I gotta find it. David Zavimbi, and like he had his own thing. Like, it was this cool idea of him being the protector of the innocent, and with all like the wars going on in like Africa and whatnot, it was a cool idea. He was on Justice League International for a little bit. It was a cool idea, and then apparently he just died on a mission, and then Morgan Freeman's son, Lucius Fox's son, who, for anyone who's seen Batman Begins: The Dark Knight, Lucius Fox is the guy who makes all of Batman's tech. Luke Fox, his son, came around and was like, "Hey, I want to be the new Batwing," and they're like, "Okay." So that he came into the fold as this like really talented, like, tech young version of Lucius, and it was really cool to see him come in, but then he really didn't do anything. Like,
yeah, he had a crush on Barbara, and like that was it. Like,
yeah, like apparently they were trying to shove Barbara and Luke into a corner, and it's like, don't do that. Don't do that. That's really bad.
mm-hmm.
And like he had this his high tech suit. It was almost like a prototype version of Batman Beyond, and it was actually really cool. And he even came back for DC Rebirth recently, where he was on James Tynion the Force Detective Comics run, which is like one of the best Batman stories of all time. If you haven't read that run, you need to. It's really good. Like, am I wrong, Travis?
No, definitely not.
Like, it's so good. And Luke kind of gets a reinvention as like this playboy who owns all of Morgan Freeman's money, but is also super smart. And they kind of turn him into a douchebag. And it was like, what are you gonna do with him now? Oh, okay, he's just gone now. Okay, bye. And it kind of sucked because I wanted to see Luke make this gigantic return and like into stuff.
Yeah, he kind of went way, way under the radar. We haven't seen him since. Oh man, hold on. Like Detective Comics, like 944, I think it was.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Like, ever since Tynan's run ended, he's just been gone. But what do you think of the idea of him being, like, this a part of the Bat family, like, side character?
Kind of the same way I feel about Duke. And you put it in words that I can't make any better, is where's he going to go? You know? What's he going to do?
Yeah.
And that maybe that's another issue with like just Batman in general, because I noticed throughout the years, every time they try to steer away from Bruce, people get upset, and somehow Bruce makes a comeback even after being actually dead. So
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It's really I don't know. And as far as like on the Blerd Grounds level is concerned, like I like Batman, like me personally, but he's kind of problematic, you know, because he doesn't. As far as the like relating it back to how we were talking about Victor and Danny, Batman is exactly the same archetype as Danny, except Batman goes to the ghetto on a nightly basis and beats the crap out of people trying to like feed their family. When he can.
Oh God, like. And I even talked about it last week. Well, like my first Batman comic ever, Batman was drugged and told to beat up an old black man because like he was drugged into believing that he was a pimp, like hurting women. So like Batman doesn't have the best history with black people.
No, he doesn't.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong, the idea of having like Batman have an African American like sidekick kind of goes in the same vein of how Carrie Kelly was like the female Robin for that generation for Dark Knight Returns. But I feel as if you can never put either a fully like integrated African American character with Batman and it stick the way you want, the same way when the New 52 tried to like slide Carrie Kelly into the main canon. It was like, no one wants that, go away, that would be very bad. Like, it doesn't work the way you want it to.
Right. And it's really hard to get anyone to stick to the Bat family who's not Jason, Dick, Tim, or Damian, which is kind of frustrating, to be honest with you.
Why
I think it's frustrating because all of them have their own unique, interesting stories, you know what I mean? But we've heard them all before, and they've all developed into their own archetypes over the years, and it's about time for a new one. And I understand people wanting to make that, you know, possibly a black character, but I don't know. Duke Thomas had the makings of it. They did it so well, and then they just kind of just shoved him into the closet.
Like, Duke is kind of like DC's Miles in a way, if that makes sense, where it's like he doesn't have anything going for him other than they tried to make him the next generation Batman and they didn't do it right. Like, but also like, and I even wrote a great like an op-ed about it where for Miles, where until the day comes that they ever just say finally Peter take off the mask and let Miles have the main Amazing Spider-Man title, which they'll never do, which really irritates my soul. It's never gonna be a thing that Miles can be the premier Spider-Man. Like, am I wrong in saying that?
No, you got a point, and I think the problem is that people don't want the mantle to be passed, and that happened very recently with Marvel in particular, with all the new generations with Riri, and there were a few others. I remember Riri being extremely like complained about on a level that was
Riri was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, because you had Sam, you had Jane, you had Laura taking over for Logan, you had Kate, who finally was just the main Hawkeye and not just partnered with Clint. Like, you had Amadeus taking over for Bruce as the Hulk. Like, everybody is this new diverse hero, and then Riri comes in like, can I join in? And then like all the angry white nerds go, no! And it was like, okay.
Yeah, and honestly, in my opinion, her origin was like probably one of the best. Finding an Iron Man suit and reverse engineering it, that's insane to me.
I agree with that part of it, but like the idea of Bendis making her just this victim of gun violence and making her a stereotypical black child was like really dumb.
That also did happen. They tried to like it felt like Bendis had just watched Aquila and the Bee and was like, I'm gonna make her meet Iron Man. You know?
No! You did not just say that. Great, now everyone's gonna want Kiki Palmer to play Riri. Oh god, that's oh god. Well, like, we all know that Bendis wants his adopted daughters to have role models. Which one thing that we'll probably talk about this next week, like on the premiere episode, is like the idea of like representation, like in like whatnot. But I don't think Bendis did it right, and it went like he tried to like supplant like Tony, and like he literally shoved Tony into a coma by beating him into it with Carol, and then said, here you go, Riri, you're the new Iron Man. And it's like, we don't even know her. Like,
right.
She just shows up on the first day of school like, hi.
Please don't pick on me. I can do stuff.
Legit though, like, and then she became like the Queen of Latveria and stuff, and it's like thank God Eve Ewing's doing a better job with her than Bendis ever could. But I'm just like, my heart breaks for her, because at first glance, Riri is the example of how not to do a legacy character, with like everything having to do with her execution and her original origin. And then other writers come along and salvage her so she can be a good legacy hero.
Okay, so perhaps I'll rephrase what I had said then, because in my opinion, I agree. She had a very stereotypical thing. So maybe it's the circumstances of how she got the Iron Man suit that I felt were very, very cool. But the world that she was in was almost like a cartoon.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put that. Because, like, literally right before Civil War II, one of Marvel's worst events starts, Tony just kind of goes to Pepper and goes, hey, can you, like, do this thing for me? Can you send this chick, like a hologram of me? That way she can be Iron Man. And then it's like, oh, I'm in a coma. Hey, you're Iron Man now. Wait, what? Like, I don't... My heart breaks for that girl. And it's like... Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead and finish.
Well, it's like now she like Eve Ewing had to like drag her to the other side of the baseball field away from Tony. That way she can have her own path away from her mentor, who was supposed to be her mentor, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah, because it's basically having to rebuild the whole character from the ground up after everyone has the horrible taste in their mouths, you know.
Yeah.
Honestly, and maybe it's a wild thing to suggest, but I kind of think that we need to find maybe like David F. Walker or someone of that nature to just create a character and see how it goes. But the problem is that a lot of these new characters that come out don't get the love, no matter how good they are.
I'm glad you said that, Travis, because ironically enough, Bendis and David F. Walker just did that. Because there's the other, like, I would like, until we kind of know some about her, but like, she's not even a legacy character. She's this weird anomaly at DC right now that will go into a conversation we have next episode about a lack of African American titles, which is that she lit like Naomi. For anybody who wants to know what we're talking about, Naomi is this character at DC who has this strange background, who we don't know a lot about her. She's been her every single issue of her solo series has been selling out, and with multiple reprints selling out, and it's this hot topic of like trying to figure out what is she going to do in the greater DC universe, and it's the first time an African American character has sold this well ever, and it's like astronomical, and I'm just in shock of how Bendis had this failing with Riri and then comes to DC and goes boom. But I think that goes to the credit of David F. Walker in a lot of ways, where he just goes, Bendis, you're not going to wipe this up. Like, we're actually going to do this character right. Like, I hate that I have to say that, because like Miles has the, like, now granted, when Bendis wrote Miles, his like first start of like, yeah, he's a poor kid who got into a good school because of a lottery, which that is something that actually happens to kids. A lot of kids who went to because I went to St. Vincent St. Mary, the same school LeBron did growing up, and a lot. Granted, my mom worked her butt off to pay for me to go through that school, but a lot of like black kids in my class were voucher kids who got in like off of like a free ticket because of the fact that their parents couldn't afford it. So it goes to that idea of that, yeah, black people are poor and like and a lot of people are like in poverty, but then you see Riri and she's just this like stereotypical gun violence character, and then like they move away from that as fast as possible and give her a whole new start, and I'm like,
that doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm just hoping Naomi has like this better reach, like, and she continues to be this standout character that everyone loves.
I have extremely high hopes for Naomi, to be completely honest with you. That when you uploaded it into the file, it was a really good 6 issues, and I remember feeling this way when I read Immortal Men. So I'm skeptical because Immortal Men got the axe, like the Ben Hammer, all of it.
Well, like, Immortal Man was a weird little standout book, and it was in the worst time ever of DC, where, like, freaking Scott Snyder was trying to launch side books, but, like, no one wanted to read the side books.
Yeah. Well, it was like, Immortal Men felt like Jim Lee and Tynion had a sit-down and was like, let's redo Wildcats, please. And then it doesn't have the same traction, because it reads a lot like Wildcats, the same pacing, the same intensity and all that. But it just, I don't know, it fell flat at the time it came out.
All right. So, like, if you had to, like in like a few bullet points, if you needed to give people a guideline of how you think a black legacy or even just a new black character should be approached, and we'll probably come back to this at some point, but like, or what would you say to like DC or Marvel or anybody trying to approach a black character, in your opinion?
I would say more trope subversion, not so much anger and much more understanding, and take the time to have the conversation in these publications, because that's what I'm noticing a lot is being missed. Is a lot of flashy, a lot of show, but no one has the conversation about these issues that they're trying to show us.
Okay, I dig it. I think like that goes into a big part of that. But then my counter to that is something that I talked about in a previous article I wrote. What is that? People kind of get tired, because like there's the issue of needing to ground a character in realism, where like you want them to have the struggle of like maybe affected by gang shit, or like them have like poverty because they're black characters, or like anything in that regard of the struggle that we go through. But then you kind of get tired of the real world stuff, and you want like a character like Blue Marvel, who's just a smart black man, or Black Panther, who is just like the smart black man in a futuristic black society. You have these characters that subvert those tropes. And how do we balance that line of like escapism and real life stories that people want to have told?
Ooh, that's kind of a tough one. Honestly, like it's gonna take some killer writing to have the weird blend between surreal and hyper real. But I feel like if that could be accomplished, it would definitely send the message. An example I can think of for that is, have you ever seen the show Atlanta?
No, I have not. I need to watch
That
it.
is
Everyone keeps telling me I need to watch it.
It's a great example of switching between surreal and hyper real all the time. So like a small example is they have this joint in Atlanta where they can get wings all the time. And this guy's like, "Oh, here's your lemon pepper wings." He goes, "Oh, the lemon pepper," and he opens them up, and the box literally lights up in their faces like the Pulp Fiction briefcase. But the hyper real part of that is it's a restaurant that's only in Atlanta, so people in Atlanta are truly going to understand what that reference is to, while the people who aren't there get how good those wings really are to the people that are there.
Okay.
So it's that's honestly the only way I can see a happy medium is to maybe smash both extremes into one book.
Okay. Well, this will definitely have to be something we revisit once we have like the whole team together. We're like next week's episode would be a big thing of us talking about like solo titles for characters. We'll definitely have to revisit Naomi specifically, because that is, I'll probably even bring in the stat chart for her specifically for next week, because her as an anomaly is going to be very interesting to get the opinions of everybody. But I do think we had some fun here today. What do you think?
Indeed, I definitely enjoyed having a conversation about this, and I want to definitely have the group conversation about it for sure.
And I feel like you definitely got to vent about Victor Alvarez a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely got to hammer on that point pretty hard because it's just so bad. It's just so bad.
I think the thing that bugs me the most about Victor is just like, why does he need to exist? Like, it wasn't like Miles or with even Duke, where it was an attempt to bring a new status quo or a new like legacy character. With Victor, it's like he didn't have a purpose because there was already a legacy forming with Luke and Jennifer and Jessica Jones's daughter. There was already things going on and whatnot. I don't see why he needed to exist. And if that needs to be if that's the question being asked about your character, then I think you need to reevaluate what you're doing.
Right, because then we're left with how he acts, and there's no growth with Victor as far as I've seen. I really hope that when we do this episode, one of the dudes, the ladies, or everyone there can show us like somebody that like, or some point, some writer maybe gave him some growth.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, this has been awesome. This has definitely been something I needed because, like, it's been a rough week. Sitting down with you is always something I really enjoy, man. Like, you, like,
Glad to hear it.
Always seem to like help me through some stressful times. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being a part of this. Like, I was even like hollering about it on Twitter. I'm like, I'm so thankful that we can do this. I'm so thankful that we can come together and talk about this stuff, because it feels like in today's society, it's hard for us to do just this. So, like, for us to come together and make this happen is so awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, folks. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Blerd Grounds. Check out the website's information on Twitter and Instagram at on Comics Ground. On comicsground.com is where we publish all of our op-eds and reviews, and hopefully news. We're going to get back into getting news soon. All the stuff we do is for you, the readers. We want you to know that these books are coming out and what our opinions are. Like, Oh, wait till Saturday. Wait, no, not this Saturday. Next Saturday, when we bring panel to panel back, Travis and I are just gonna talk about Last Night on Earth for like an hour, and it's gonna be fun. Like this
I'm
book.
so excited.
First Jarro has been the light of my life in Justice League, and then now freaking Joker wants to be the last Robin ever, and I'm just like, oh yes, like that would be the greatest thing. Like just yes, I'm all about this.
Right? Bring it home, Snyder, please.
But thank you so much for tuning in. We will catch you folks next week for our premiere on twitch.tv/oncomicsground at 8 p.m. Pacific, which is 11 p.m. Eastern. We will be sitting down and talking with you about the issue that has been bugging me, has been bugging a lot of us, of why isn't there a lot of Black Solo titles? That will be a fun conversation that we get to have next week. Travis, is there anything you would like to say to the people before we sign off for this evening?
Check out Naomi. It is so worth it. And I cannot believe I just completely forgot about her while we were talking about decent black characters, because she's certainly up there.
She definitely is. All right. Please hang out with us. This is going to be a great journey. That's what I got to say about this. Like, normally my line is support your local comic book shop, which it will always be my line on panel to panel. But I just want to say thank you for anybody who's listened to this podcast. Thank you for anybody who's helping keep this like momentum going. We are excited to see what happens next, and we will catch y'all next time. Peace out.